I am going to talk quietly because my husband's in the other room. I love my husband, but there's something special about girlfriends and sisters that is different and just as valuable as my relationship with him.
Welcome to Three Little Fishes. We're three sisters who grew up in the Midwest together, but have since spread across the country. I live in Los Angeles.
I'm in Nashville.
And I live in Philadelphia. We are all married with children. We've all had careers, but now we stay at home with our families.
We've all been through ups and downs that come along with life and have always helped each other through, shared stories, and laughed together.
We welcome all of you into our daily conversations and hope you have some fun with us.
So let's jump in.
Hello, and welcome to Three Little Fishies. Thank you for joining us. Please like, subscribe to our YouTube channel or wherever you're listening to your podcast. Rate and review us. We appreciate all the listeners that have already liked, commented, and reviewed. Your support means a lot, and we appreciate you helping us get the word out there. All right, ladies, I'm just going to jump right in. I just thought I would do a quick little check-in and give you guys a little nugget that I learned. So AMC theaters have a deal on Tuesdays, and they're called Discount Tuesdays, and you can go see movies for $7 all day long.
Amazing.
That's a deal.
This week, I just learned about it, and so my whole family went to see Inside Out 2 for $7 a ticket. It was amazing.
Wow, that's amazing.
Yeah. And the movie actually was really good too. So a shout out to Inside Out if you guys are looking for like a family-friendly movie. We really liked it. It was pretty cute, and it was a good conversational starter because Inside Out talks about all sorts of feelings. So it's kind of fun to,
Of course, yeah.
I love to talk about feelings.
We do. Therapist Nancy.
But anyway, I just thought that I would share that because it's amazing. $7,
$7 is a bargain.
It's huge.
Yeah. I love it.
Yeah.
Okay,
So
good nugget.
that's my little nugget. Kathy, how's it going over there?
Good. My kids actually were talking about that movie, so we're gonna have to go see that when we get a free moment. So I'm feeling a little sleep deprived, to be honest. My energy is going downhill. I've been on puppy duty this week because my husband and my son are gone, and my son has been the one dealing with Millie at night. So my night nurse is gone, and so I've had to deal with her, and she's been awesome, but she wakes up a lot, and it's like when you don't get
You're
it's like
out of
when
the
you have a
cycle.
baby.
You're not in that
it's like,
cycle anymore.
how did we do that?
No.
I'm too old.
Yeah.
Like the
it's
getting up
exhausting.
every couple hours, I feel like a little.
Yeah, boo.
Yeah, it's no good.
Thank God she's so cute.
I mean,
because that's rough.
Monday I was okay.
Well,
Yesterday okay, but today I'm feeling like I don't know if I'm going to make it
Day
till
3.
Friday.
Yeah.
Yeah.
It's kicking your butt.
I mean, the good news is she is going to grow out of it and she will eventually sleep through the night, but it probably feels like it's never ending today.
Yeah, she's
rough.
just super needy, and I have to remember that, but it is hard on me.
Well, Kathy, I'm tired too. For our listeners, I live in Nashville. And so my husband and I went and checked out John Bon Jovi's new bar/restaurant last night. And we did it, obviously, because it's brand new. We love checking out these new places. Kathy and I
Yeah, how
went to
fun.
Morgan Wallen's. That was
Yeah.
super fun. And this place is great. But then we were also kind of doing it because it's closer to the airport than we are. And we had to pick up our daughter at 11:15 last night. So then we got home at midnight or so. And then I really didn't sleep well because my husband was snoring like a lumberjack. And this morning
Snoring
he woke up,
is
he's
the
like,
worst.
I'm sorry I kept you up, Lynn. And I said, oh, well, how do you know you kept me up? Because you were, so sound asleep and enjoying your rest. He goes, oh, because you built your pillow wall. Like I don't know why I do this, but I build this pillow wall between us thinking it's going to like somehow block the sound. It does
It's the
not.
sound. It's the sound barrier.
It's a sound barrier. Like in my like sleep deprived like thought process at 3 a.m, I think that's going to save me. It does not. So we're
I do
recording a
the
little
same
later in the
thing.
afternoon and I'm exhausted. Yeah.
Yeah,
So,
it's
and I've
funny.
been
I do
like,
that too.
yeah, it's been rough. So today, fishes and listeners, we thought we would have you jump into our conversation we started last week between the three of us about Iowa grad, Iowa alum, like we're all Iowa alums. Caitlin Clark is that basketball player who is just a phenom, and now she's playing in the WNBA. And I was kind of mad because I saw this like couple clips of her getting these like tough fouls from, you know, people that they were playing against. And then her teammates kind of like it's seemingly not supporting her. And it sort of just like raised that question about female relationships and competitiveness and friendships and when do you step in, when do you not step in, when do you straighten a crown, and is there a time where you don't straighten a crown? And I don't really watch a lot of sports, but that just particular thing kind of like really resonated with me because I think as I've aged, I like to think that I am that person that straightens your crown. And it kind of like annoyed me a little bit, but it did
Yeah.
like stepping away from that particular thing. It just sort of spawned this conversation between the three of us about women and friendships. And we are lucky because as sisters, we do take care of each other. And that's why we
Mm-hmm.
started this is we talk
Right.
to
Yeah.
each other, we support each other, we try to lift each other up. You know, we still like jar each other, like, you know, push each other's buttons every once in a while. But I think it's mostly in an effort to lift each other up. And so, listeners, we were just kind of talking about friendships and women friendships and like,
Don't you think that some of those women, I just think it has to do with some jealousy. You know, like she's gotten so much attention, she's
I
gotten so
know.
much money. And probably some of those girls were like, I've been playing on this team for years and haven't gotten, any notoriety or whatever. That's kind of how
Yeah.
I'm seeing it. And
Yeah.
she's also the newbie. So I think
She's getting hazed a little.
she's getting hazed. But
Yeah.
it is unfortunate for her.
Well,
But
I
she
just
seems
feel
like she
like that
has
cannot be
thick skin.
valuable. Like that's not nurturing your team environment and that's not nurturing your friendships. So when you're petty like that, I feel like that's petty. I
Yeah.
mean, and it's unnecessary. But maybe that's the world of sports and I'm not an athlete, so I mean, I don't know. But it just speaks to I think sometimes women friendships can be tough and I know I've experienced like ups and downs over the years, more ups than downs. I was reading this, I was like in preparation for this, I was reading this article and it was suggesting that women have higher, I'm going to read this quote, women have higher expectations of support and intimacy in their close relationships than men do. Women integrate our friends into our lives as deeply as siblings, whereas men treat their friends more like cousins. With such high expectations, even minor conflicts can feel like major violations.
Hmm.
And I do feel like that is true.
Yeah.
You know, like when you bring somebody as a woman in your inner sanctum, like your inner circle, you know, there's a lot of expectation there. And
Yeah,
when
I
you
agree.
fall down, which you do sometimes, there can be some wrath associated with that.
What do you mean
Yeah.
wrath?
Well, I mean, like I've had a friend, call me out because sometimes I could be a little selfish with my time. You know, I'm not necessarily gregarious all the time. And when I fall off, sometimes I don't return phone calls straight away or I don't do the things that, um, maybe people want me to do. And I get called out sometimes, especially by, a couple of friends. And I have to apologize because they're right. I did drop the ball and I didn't call or I didn't follow up or I didn't do that, whatever. It's not, I'm not trying to be a jerk. I just kind of get in my own little zone sometimes, I think.
Well,
And
I
I
think we
think
all
people,
do.
I don't
Yeah.
mean to be a jerk. It just sometimes happens.
Well, I think that life gets in the way sometimes. So I think there's a difference between being a jerk and being busy with, your own stuff at home, that you're having a hard time juggling both,
Yeah,
right?
I'm
Yeah.
not always the best balancer, I think, with my
Right.
friendships and my life, especially when my kids were little, because I had 3 kids, my husband traveled all the time, so I really, not to excuse bad behavior, but sometimes it's hard to be my friend because, I was busy. And now as I've aged, I do feel like I'm more aware of that, and I try to do a better job of connecting and just touching base with people. But, like yesterday was a friend of mine, like a good friend of mine here. It was her birthday, and I forgot until 11 p.m. last night as I was sitting at the airport waiting for my daughter. I was like, oh no, I forgot to wish her happy birthday. Oh,
You
it was
know,
bad.
I wouldn't beat yourself up.
But then you
I was,
remembered, and
I
I think
did, but
that
I felt bad about it.
women in particular, just in general, we're very hard on ourselves. We set very high expectations and standards. And I think we also force them on other people, right? So
Yeah.
I feel like for the most part, I feel like people go through the day trying to do the best that they can, putting their best foot forward. And sometimes that foot is amazing and graceful and just, wow, how is she doing it all? And sometimes it's like wet hair, like I'm just trying to get
Sleep
my stuff to work
deprived.
right, sleep
Yeah.
Right.
deprived, like,
Right.
my,
Hanging on by a thread today. I'm hanging on by
yes,
a thread.
that's a real thing. That's just real life and real relationships, and people who know you and know your heart know that to be true, that some days are better than others.
I
Yeah.
think, Linda, that's happened to me before. And also, it actually happened to Dad. I think I forgot last year to call him on Father's Day because I was thinking about it because I was on vacation in Hilton Head and we were traveling. And I think the
Hmm.
day just like got away from me. And then I realized it. And I was like, oh my gosh, how in the world can I forget to call our own father?
I know.
But
Well,
I mean,
It happens.
how could you forget Dad, Kathy? And you're his favorite. I'm sure he was
I,
devastated.
I think he was upset that I didn't call, but I did this year. So
Good
you have
job.
to give yourself a little grace
Yeah.
there.
A little grace. Yeah. I know. I know.
So I think trying to I'm so distracted because Johanna just came barging in from outside, and I think she has a grievance with Riley. They're playing some sort of sport, and she just walked in like huffing and puffing, like with her arms like down straight, like what is happening? Like really. And that's the other thing. I think trying to learn how to communicate is very difficult. And I think from the time we're young to even adults, it's an art. And I think that
It is. Yeah.
sometimes it's super hard. It's a struggle. And, when you're younger, you give each other a little bit more grace and a little bit more latitude. And when you're older, I don't know if I have as much grace to people as I should, of just identifying that, that person might have had a bad day. Maybe they didn't mean to be cross with me, or
Well, you know what, though? I think it's like the spectrum, too. Like female friendships. I mean, I would say I have all these circles, and they kind of go wide. I mean, some circles go back to grade school. I don't talk to them very often. Maybe we only communicate on Facebook. But then as my circles get smaller and closer to me, it's like, I think, like this quote said, like the closer people are, maybe, I mean, do you give them more grace or less grace because you spend more time with them? They know more stuff. I don't know. And
probably
they're
more.
so
Yeah, I
valuable
think you
to
do.
you.
Yeah.
Yeah. Like those people that are really close to you, like, I don't know if you guys heard did I ever tell you this? When we were at Grandma Kuntz's funeral, I'm so mad at myself because this is a totally missed opportunity. But at Grandma Kuntz's funeral, a woman came up to me. I think her name was Donna, and Grandma was a widow for a while, and she would travel with this woman. And this woman comes up and she said, "I'm sorry for your loss. I was your grandmother's best friend, and
Oh.
I know
Oh,
all her secrets."
Oh.
And I was like, "Well, I know your name. I know you guys traveled a lot together." She's like, "Oh, no, we did more than that. I know all her secrets." And
Oh.
did she like
it was like,
divulge?
no. And something happened and I got distracted and I never circled back. And I'm sure she's like long gone by now. But I was so mad because I was like, it was so important to her to tell me that she was her best friend and that she knew all her secrets. And I think that was probably really important to Grandma too, because it was someone that she could confide in and share
Yeah.
her whatever
Right.
secrets she has, you
And she
know?
must have been a very special lady. I never knew that story because grandma was very private. Like she was even very, I
Incredibly.
feel like she was even very private with us. Like she would always be like, Southerners never tell, or she would make
Yes.
some
Yeah.
comment about,
Like, what were you doing, Grandma? Like, what secrets could you possibly have had?
yeah.
I don't
But it
know. And
makes
I will
my
never know because I didn't ask the question. And to this day, I'm like, why didn't I like find her again?
But that makes me
So,
happy that she had that person that she was
yeah.
able to
See?
confide in. Like we just need
Yeah.
one or two people, right? Like who you can
Yeah.
really like count on. And
Yeah.
maybe you don't see them all the time. Like I think about friends that don't live here, and I have a couple of them thinking in particular that I feel like I don't get to see them that much, but I talk to them, and whenever I do see them, it's like no time has passed, and they know me. Like they know me from
Yeah. They know the
the early
stuff.
the early stages of everything, of you trying to
You've
figure
run
it
from the
out.
police with a couple of those people.
Yes,
I know
yes, I have.
old friends are the best, right? Oldies but goodies, because
Yeah.
they always have your back.
Also, I would say, one of the most important things about women in relationships is it is so healing. It's so healing to free yourself of any kind of like emotional baggage that you have. But I also did read this article about how there is a study that was recently done in Europe, and they researched women with stage 1 breast cancer, and the survival rate for women who had a tight inner circle was exponentially higher than women who went through breast cancer treatment by themselves or without that like very tight support system. And to me, that is like such an amazing thing to articulate how valuable it is to your health, like your physical health. Like
Yeah,
we know mentally it makes us happy to share our lives with women and feel like you're not alone when you're going through rough times or even happy times. But
right.
to have that physicality like that, I mean, I thought that was amazing.
Yeah, I mean
That's
the mind is a powerful tool,
It
right?
really is.
Well, it
Yeah.
also that person can give you hope. And when you have hope, that's a huge deal.
right.
Because without it, you just want to give up.
And friendship is hope. You lean on your friends,
You
and they
lean on your
Yeah.
can give you that little spark of hope. That's great. I love that.
watching Johanna try to navigate friendships and figure out who's a friend and how you be a friend, how she can be a friend, and how she should receive friendship in return
Mhm.
is it's hard to navigate at a young age. But it is
Mhm.
hard for me as a mom to watch it sometimes because she has a really good friend that over the end of the school year, there was another little girl who wanted to come play with them, but she didn't want Johanna to be a part of it. But she wanted Johanna's good friend, and not Johanna. And Johanna's good friend left her to go with this other group, and she felt really devastated, like because she was like, "She's my best friend. How come I'm not included and to come along? What's wrong with me?" And trying to navigate that world is tricky
Yeah, it's hard.
of what makes a good friend. How can I be a
Mhm.
good friend? and not really giving them the answers, but trying to help them feel what they're feeling and navigate what's going to be healthy for them as they continue to learn to build friendships.
And
It's
naturally,
Well,
Johanna knows how important friendship is and how
yes,
important it is to her. And
yes,
to have somebody sort of betray you in that way at a young age is, I think, very normal and very age appropriate, but painful to go through.
yes,
And
yes,
well, it brings back the saying, like we were talking about Caitlin Clark. I just think it stems from people just being jealous.
yeah,
She's probably
and
jealous of
insecure.
Johanna's friendship with the other girl. So she's like, I'm going to take that away. And
Hmm.
it's not right, but
And
that's
it's that
probably
typical like power struggle, I think, that everybody kind of goes through at one time
yeah,
or
right.
another. And so, I mean, there's movies about it,
right.
right? The power struggles,
Well, we just
right?
Well,
Inside Out too. Go check it out. Like,
there's Mean Girls. Mean
And Mean
Girls.
Girls.
Remember
I mean, they made a
Mean
whole
Girl?
movie on it, and then a TV show about like setting
Lindsay
boundaries and being
Lohan.
like
Yeah.
unkind, and everybody does it. Even
yeah,
like big kids do it, and grown
yeah,
up women act like that. So
yes,
it's like I
yes,
think it's so
yes,
normal. I think we all strive to rise above that element in our personalities or our lives and surround ourselves with more meaningful things and more, but
That movie
it's
is so
there.
fun. It's so
That
funny to
movie
me. I
is
don't know
Mean
why,
Mean
so
because
Girls.
funny.
it's so, yeah, because it is, they are so mean. But
They
They
are.
are so mean.
Well,
Dang.
I keep.
when you watch it being older, you kind of like, you're at a different
Well,
stage in
I
your life. But
Yeah.
I love it when she says, I'm sorry that people are so jealous of me. I just can't help it that I'm so popular.
So
I mean, it's like
self-centered.
these girls are so self centered. It's ridiculous.
yeah,
It's
but
ridiculous.
I mean, that's kids, right? Like that's just generally like they're just so they're all about
Adolescence,
the
that
self,
is like
you
the
know?
quintessential adolescent is all about themselves. So you're
Yeah,
constantly as a parent pushing them out of,
right,
you
Correct.
have to spend time with your family tonight. I'm sorry, you have to have
right,
dinner with us. Like I
totally.
don't know what else to say to you. It's
Yeah.
going to
Right.
happen. Yeah,
And
they're just
Right.
self-centered.
I also keep telling Johanna, you guys will probably laugh at me when I say this, but like, I'm all about like the light and joy, right? So it's like, we don't let
Yeah.
anybody take our joy and we don't take anybody else's joy, right? So if they're not bringing you joy and you don't feel like you're giving joy, then that's not a great fit.
Yeah,
So
drop her.
you got to figure out what that is for yourself, right?
Yeah.
So,
Right.
Yeah.
Yeah, it's hard.
And it comes and goes. I mean,
right,
this is life at that age and friendships at
right,
that age too.
right.
But I love that your daughter already knows how important it is to her to have a deep relationship. And even though at 10 or 11 or 12 and beyond, like those early adolescent years, might not last a lifetime, although you ladies do have long, long lasting relationships. I love that she already knows that that's important to her.
Yeah. Do you find as we get older, like I know we've all relocated, like I've relocated several times, and I've even relocated since I moved out to California. I moved from different cities. And even though it's not that far in distance, it is far. You've kind of left that pocket. Do you find that it's harder to find those close knit friends the older you get? Or do you find it's easier because you've had all this life experience and it's easy to kind of figure out people and find your people quicker?
I can talk on this because I've had to move several times as well. And I feel like when I was younger and having babies, I still felt like it was hard to move, even though I had a young family, just because I didn't know anybody. And it was kind of lonely, at the time,
Hmm.
looking back at that. Then I moved when I was older, but I still had kids in school. And when your kids are in school, that does help because you do have the connection with school. You have
Yeah.
functions, you have class parties, like you have more social events that you can meet people with. Um, I like had a friend here who was like my host family, And I didn't know a soul when I moved to Pennsylvania. And she was just so kind and helped me just with anything, just even to
Yeah.
have a sounding board to talk about like any of my worries. And to this day, she is still a friend of mine. And I just really am grateful to her.
And I have found over the years, people surprise me. Like some people that I am really connected with surprised me in ways that I didn't expect them. I mean, obviously it's a surprise, but like I remember I was really sick like 10 or 12 years ago. I had to have surgery and I had this woman who was a friend of mine and I'm still friends with her, but like she surprised me in that like she came to the hospital and checked in on me and then she went to my house and cleaned up my house and like handled all my kiddos so
Yes.
my husband could be with me in the hospital, and she just like went above and beyond, but she did it in such a quiet way that no one knew about it except me. And it was like so comforting to have that person that just supported me in a way that I just needed so desperately at that time. And I probably wouldn't have asked for it.
Yeah.
Mhm.
So then as I've gotten older, I've tried so hard to be that friend to people, really tried to just like straighten people's crown when they needed it and quietly, it's not
And
a
Linda, I
competition.
might interject. I mean, I might just point out too that you're very private and like you don't like to ask for help either. And I don't think I realized like how sick you were either. Like you kind of kept it from us too. Um, and when your friend came to help you, I mean, your bathroom, it was, you
It was a
know,
mess. Yeah.
it was in bad shape because you had a female problem, which meant you were hemorrhaging. So
Yeah.
it was not a good situation. And so that was even extra special that she took care of
Yeah,
that,
for
that your
sure.
kids
I
didn't
mean, it
have
was a
to.
mess, and that she made sure everything was taken care of so my kids didn't see it because it was like really early in the morning. And I mean, that was such a powerful just gesture of friendship and support that was like I'll like she forever has this like special place in my heart because she helped me so much.
It's interesting that all three of us have a hard time asking for help, but we've all three needed it in different ways desperately. And we understand why female friendship and connection is so important, and truly that sisterhood bond, that there are times where we need each other. And it's interesting, even though we know that, why we try to keep things close to our vest. Like I
I
did
don't
kind of
know,
the
it's
same
weird.
thing. Like this past fall, I had to have surgery and I kept it quiet from people, thinking, oh, it's no big deal. I'll just handle it. But I had complications and I didn't just handle it. It really took me out,
Mhm.
physically and emotionally. And the few friends that I let in and I told, it was amazing how much they want to help and be a support, and how much I needed that and my family needed it. And I feel like moving forward, I want to remember that, because I would do that for anybody in a heartbeat. And
Mhm.
you have to
Right.
remember that you have to give them the opportunity to do that for you as well.
I was actually thinking about a time I really needed help when I was in college. I had like had an accident in the chemistry lab when I was a senior, and I spilt the nitric acid on my hands,
Oh, I
and
remember
Oh,
that.
yeah. That's
Yeah.
I had to go to the
terrible.
hospital, and they thought that I was going to need skin grafts.
Yeah.
And I was going into dental school, and they're like, your career could just be over before it even began. And my roommate wrapped my hands in gauze. Like I look like a mummy. I wasn't able to get them wet. I couldn't drive. And my roommate was so great. She nursed me back to health. She'd wash my hair. She drove me around.
Um,
I'm like puking down the street because the medication's making me sick. I mean, she went above and beyond, and I'll be always grateful to her for that.
My daughter
yeah.
just experienced that. She just was in school and had like a medical thing happen. And one of her friends that she has met this fall, so it's a new friend really, stayed
Right.
by her side, drove her around, took her to the hospital, waited for me to get there. I mean, she was a doll and a half.
Yeah.
It just shows you like women need each other in a way
Yes.
that, you know, it's just hard to pinpoint, but like I just feel like, especially as we age, it's like we're not competing against each other. We just should just have fun and laugh and take care of each other
Yeah.
and, you know, do all the things that women love to do. And, it's like I'm going to talk quietly because my husband's in the other room. I love my husband, but there's something special about girlfriends and
Yeah.
sisters that is different and
For, s-
just as valuable as my relationship with him.
for sure.
Yes.
You know,
For sure.
I'm going out with a bunch of ladies here in town tomorrow night. There's like a group of 7 of us that I've made friends with. And we don't get together very often, but I'm looking forward to it because we're going to go
Yeah.
out to this Mexican restaurant and have a margarita and catch up. And like, some people are going through hard times right now, which I do know about. And some people are kind of like riding the wave and like
Yeah.
life is going along smoothly. And it'll just be fun to just mix and mingle and support each other and laugh. And maybe there'll be a tear here and there because a
Yeah.
couple are going through rough times, but that's okay. It's all
Yeah.
good.
Yeah.
And I think crying is good for the soul. Like sometimes it's a nice release to let it out and know it's,
Yeah.
let it out.
I think it's very healthy to let it out, even though
Yeah.
sometimes you don't want to. But when you do, or at least I feel so much better when I talk it
Yeah.
through.
Yes. And when you can talk it through with women that are not judging you,
Right.
like they're not going to hold
Right.
it against you to be vulnerable.
I think that that's why I'm disappointed when I'm seeing the stuff go on with the basketball and Caitlin Clark, to just kind of circle it back for a second. Like, I don't, the optics are that these women have a great platform, that America's watching them. And what an amazing opportunity to show how amazing women and women's sports are. And I just think it's a shame that the optics are stepping on each other instead of
Right. Right.
lifting each other up. So I
Right.
hope that changes and it swings the other way.
Yeah, I
But
hope so too.
So straighten those crowns, girls. Yeah.
yes.
Yeah.
Like we're all pretty. We're all
Yes.
amazing. We're all
Yes.
beautiful. And we
Yes.
all have days where we do not have washed hair and someone has kept us up snoring all night. And that is okay.
Yes. Yes.
I don't
Yes.
always have to look beautiful and put together,
Yes.
and I can go around in a sweatshirt with no makeup on sometimes because that is the best I can do.
I think just showing up and just being there, that's all you have to do. Just show up. And
Yes, it's important. Let's show up for
yeah.
each other.
Yes.
Like we can do this.
Yes.
Like there's no reason to do it alone.
I do have to make a shout out to my neighbor because I was looking horrible yesterday and I had to take out all the trash because we had been doing some yard works and they were so heavy, but it was 6:30 in the morning because I was up with the dog. I was still in my pajamas. I hadn't even brushed my teeth. And she saw me like trying to drag these trash cans to the street. And she was like, "Oh my gosh, Kathy." She's like, "Do you need help? Those look awfully heavy." And I was embarrassed because I was like, "Please don't come over here. I look horrible." But
I'm
she
in my
did anyway.
PJs.
Oh, that's so nice.
I know
love
she is
that.
so nice. So I couldn't
Love
have had
that.
asked for a more lovely neighbor.
I mean, a
That's
little
Yeah.
act of
awesome.
kindness goes a long way, right? Like a little act or a
Yeah.
Yes.
smile or just,
Yes.
we're
Yes.
all in it
Yes.
together.
We are all in it
Right.
together. Go for a walk with your neighbor. Go have a coffee. Just all the
Yeah.
things. Just little
Be
tiny
nice.
things
Be
make
nice
such a
to each
big
other.
deal.
So you guys, I think we were going to try a little different segment real quick. I'm always looking for new things to watch in the
Mhm.
evening or if I'm traveling. What are you all watching?
I'm watching Bridgerton.
Oh,
It came out,
yes.
the third season is here.
Yes.
And
Yes, I
so
watched that. I was a little
it's about
uncomfortable a couple of times.
about Penelope.
Yes.
Colin's little romance. I love
Yes.
it.
I
think
love it too. But I was like a little uncomfortable a couple of times, and I'm not going to spoil it for our listeners, but check it
well,
out.
I've only watched 4 episodes. I think the other 4 have dropped, so I need to watch it.
Yes.
But I've
Yes. I
really
think they're in the
enjoyed that
last
show.
4. You let me know how you feel when you watch a couple of those, because I was like,
Okay.
oh,
It
spicy,
gets steamy,
spicy.
right?
Oh my
Yeah.
gosh. Linda, what are you watching?
You know what? We are watching the old Criminal Minds,
Oh,
which I
that's
never
dark.
watched when it first came out. I never really watched it. And our daughter was watching it. And so my husband and I decided to join in, and now we're addicted. And it's great because it's like 17 seasons, and you can just like watch episode after episode and binge like a crazy person. Like that's what we do sometimes. But I also will say, like last night we were downtown and I was going to go to the airport, and my husband, I was going to put him in an Uber and I was going to go get her by myself. He's like, no. And I think it's because of Criminal Minds. Like stuff happens so fast. You're like, wait a minute, are people really this bad? And I think they are. You just have to be careful. So anyway, Criminal Minds. It's very good. What about you, Nance?
We are watching Masters of the Air on Apple TV.
I've heard of that.
Oh,
Is it good?
And I am loving it. Well, I was drawn to it because of Austin Butler. I'm kind of a fan.
Yes,
I
he's
think
a
he's a
doll.
cutie. Yeah.
yes.
Yeah.
Um,
Him and Timothy Chalamet are my boyfriends, my secret loves.
but we are really liking it.
June.
It's about World War II and pilots, flyers. So if
Yeah.
you are looking for a
I'll
new
have to
show,
check
I
it out.
highly recommend it.
I know that Austin Butler's cute.
Nice.
All right, girls, what's for dinner?
Well, we are having breakfast for dinner. I made some food for a friend who's going through a tough time, and I doubled it, and it's like a breakfast casserole. And I made this blueberry lemon bread from my sourdough starter. So we're doing breakfast for dinner tonight.
That sounds good. We are having chicken stir fry.
We're going to do grilled chicken and roasted vegetables. Just
Sounds
throw it on the
amazing.
grill. Simple.
Well, girls, I'm happy that you are in my life, and I'm so happy that we get to spend time together, and I'm so happy that we get to straighten each other's crowns. You are good friends, and I am grateful for you, and I'm grateful for all of our listeners out there, and we hope you take an opportunity to straighten somebody's crown this week, because it's amazing to have people in your life.
I'm grateful for you all too. So, anyway, we want to thank you all for listening to our podcast today and letting us sisters jump into your day. Please make sure to follow, rate, and review us. We want your feedback. You all have a fabulous weekend. Sisters out.